Hello one, hello all, it's the gothiest ghost of them all, Casper in the flesh, and it's time for a review of Grande Mahogany-As Grande as. Grande Mahogany is a singer, songwriter, guitarist, producer from Finland, and this is his debut album, and due to how great and creative this album is, it really leaves me scratching my head. Why isn't anyone talking about this? Why is this album not being as streamed as it should be? But you know what? This is one of those cases where you have to think of the old head saying, "There's no great music anymore. All the great music is gone. All the music today sounds the same." But if you are one of those people, please stream this album, because you may have a change of heart. You should have a change of heart after listening to this. And that is the beauty of review channels, of album reviews, because it puts you onto music that you probably didn't even know existed, which is the benefit of being subscribed to music reviewers. And with the resurgence of a lot of vintage music, be it blues, such as Kira Jackson, Geese, and the resurgence of funk with Brittany Howard and her latest album that I just reviewed, or Witch with Zango, or Anna Franga Electrico. There is definitely a steady resurgence of funk, and I feel like Grande Mahogany is really doing what he wants to do. It's not like he's hopping onto a trend. It's like he genuinely wants to make this type of music, and he's doing it very well and doing it very creatively. And I feel he is taking all these influences and showing me that this album is pretty much what you would get if you had Thundercat go back in time, run into Sly and the Family Stone, do a fusion dance, fuse together, and then meet up with the Funkadelics. That leads to a jam session while they take the most strongest acid known to man, while having these wild dreams of jamming with Jimi Hendrix and Captain Beefheart and his magic band. So yeah, you're getting a lot of funky guitar licks, a lot of layers, and vocals with very eccentric vintage quality to it. Like on Bop Your Head, with these wild, colorful, psychedelic variations. The guitars on here are very layered on this track, and each has different pockets, whether it's the squishy synths, panning to the right channel, or these warped wah-wah pedals with these burnt crunchy riffs, and on the left, these twangy guitar strums. Definitely a wild trip, definitely a lot of talent displayed on here, with, as you could hear, a lot of variety. And even though this is a vintage album, or funk is pretty vintage within itself, it has always touched on the future. It has always touched on space, which I definitely appreciate Grande Mahogany for putting on this album, just done creatively and done well with love for the culture. It's brought on probably one of the most catchiest songs on here, Spaceboy Pinkhead. Pinkhead magic! Yeah, I know. Can't hit that note, but you get the picture. And there's also Thundercurls, with these spacey falsettos over this fat bass, followed with a few sonic curveballs that I believe make sense, with these record scratches, to these sudden false stops with these dissonant guitars, with a sweet sax breakdown that goes into almost psychedelic, sexy jazz territory. And after that we have rhythm that is provided with these very beautiful harmonized vocals, accompanied with these pumping kicks and a lot of chord modulation, as they go into twangy, fuzzy highs, to watery, to distortion on the vocals, harmonizing fantastically with the horns. And with the distorted bass, I feel like with all these coming together, there's like a cycling motion and a cycling groove here that's almost hypnotic. Along with these scream samples, there are definitely a lot of samples on here, but I could honestly say they make sense to the song. They're not just thrown on there in a tacky way, which transitions smoothly into Super Rocker, which definitely screams strutting into the disco club, high out of your fucking mind, with these thumping drums and bass, droning organs just driving through the track, with definitely some echo effects on here that sounds like something off a dub record, which elements of dub does appear on this album again, like on Shades of Ebony. And I also want to say I love the various psychedelic funky melodies that are on this track, with these cavernous vocals that just lead into the most beautiful, tripped out experience I've probably heard all year, with beautiful harmonies and the warbly bass. So it's very clear that when this album is hitting, it's definitely hitting due to the layers, due to the creativity, due to the progression of a track, due to how much you get in such a short amount of time, and how psychedelic it is, how cathartic it is, and how it just keeps me on the edge of my seat. However, there are tracks here that I do feel are maybe a little undercooked, pretty much uneventful, like on Garden Sefine. It's not a bad track, but it's far from an exciting one. And there are a lot of interludes on here. I do kind of wish that maybe they connected more to the tracks itself. But other than that, I think there's a very creative display of funk. It's like, I don't know if I would call it revivalism, but it certainly can be that. But I don't really think that's what he's going for. I just think he just wants to create funk music, wants to create psychedelic music, and he's doing a fantastic job doing it. And for a debut, this is a pretty great debut. And again, hopefully we can get a more cohesive project next time. But still, even for this album to be as short as it is, maybe not a lot of songs on here, there are definitely more highlights than duds, for sure. I'm feeling a 4 out of 5 Black Hearts on this album. If you've given this album a listen, what did you think? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? And that's it. Caspa, Gothic Ghost, Grande Mahogany, as grand as... till we meet again.